class is on no-handed choke defense. Priit mentioned it a little bit in his class the other day about being able to defend chokes and not use your hands to pull on the arms. This is inspired by Priit, all of the aspects that he does, so it basically falls back to the same defense to everything about keeping your arms in. Also inspired by Charles Harriott, who really helped my understanding of accuracy. Just said nice things about him. So I'm going to look at some very basic chokes, the rear naked choke and the arm triangle, either with your arms or your legs. But we're going to look at the idea of accuracy and how you can mess with people's accuracy to completely destroy the choke without having to use your hands to like pull away. Because my personal belief when it comes to a lot of stuff in Jiu-Jitsu is that human beings will react with instinct. Jiu-Jitsu people rely on skill. So instinct a lot of the time will say grab hold of the choke and try and remove it, but that usually then involves them taking more control over you and then locking you into the system. If you ever get a chance to do Priit's armbar defense class or any of the heel hook defense class, that is pretty much the exact same thing in that if you grab your own arm out of fear, you kind of lock yourself into a system where you're now stuck. Same if you try and defend like a heel hook by bringing your leg in to defend your own leg, you're now stuck in the heel hook, while sometimes it's better just to accept it, turn and slip out. It's pretty much the exact same idea when it comes to chokes. So what we're going to do is, please don't go unconscious doing this. For the love of God, don't. Right, Morgan. Back, please. Face it away. Thank you. So what we're going to do is we're going to do very light rear naked chokes. Okay, super light. If you get it right, you won't need to squeeze. The idea is that if you squeeze, we want like instant gratification in Jiu-Jitsu and life in general. In that we want the instant tap. We want to get hold of the neck and more squeeze for dear life. The problem with that is that we overlook accuracy in favor of strength. So what I want you to do is you're going to go for just pure accuracy. If you have it completely right, they will go. It might take 15 seconds, but their head will fill up like a water balloon. So it won't hurt. That's why I say to you, please don't go unconscious. I don't want to be that fast. So what you're going to do is, where you want to put pressure when it comes to chokes is right here, okay? Pretty much where you'd feel the pulse. So if you go too far to the sides, it's not exactly correct. They can kind of withstand it. After you go too close to the front, it's a windpipe. So we're going to try and feel their pulse just here with that part of our arm. So the forearm and the bicep. So you're going to set up your rear naked. You're going to take the slack out of the choke, but you're not going to squeeze, okay? You're going to just try and find the right point. And eventually they will go, okay? So there was no squeezing there, there was no effort. And because of that, I can hold that for ages, okay? I'm not getting tired on this choke. And if it's perfect, you won't have to worry about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 minutes of this. You're going to find, like, take some time. Don't think you have to get this right instantly. Try and find the exact point where you want to put pressure. Set everything up nicely and don't squeeze. Just take the slack out of the system. Let's see, this might take a while. But his head will fill up. It will be painless, but uncomfortable for you. Okay? Off you go, 2 minutes. It's weird. One of the things that we try and factor into our gym, and we just do it quite regularly, is the idea that if you go for a choke, I don't want you to squeeze. Because you should be able to set up complete control and not have to use any muscle to finish that choke. If you get that part right and they still tap, then your choke's perfect. You didn't have to use any, you didn't have to overcompensate with strength to actually win that match. So why is this idea of human beings rely on instinct, Jiu-Jitsu people rely on skill? Is that once, if I take Morgan's neck, he panics and he grabs hold of here. He's now opened up that space between his knee and his armpit, which allows me now to control it. So before, he wanted just to be able to turn. If he could turn, towards the hand that's choking him. So 45 degrees this way. And try and get his shoulder towards my sternum. There's now no choke. It's gonna hurt. I won't lie to you about that one. But all I'm doing now is putting pressure to the side of his neck, and there's nothing here. So as much as I want to squeeze, it might hurt for him, it might be uncomfortable, but he's not even tucking his chin, he doesn't have to. If I don't understand why or how rear naked chokes work, I could be looking at that thinking, well, why isn't this working? And I could be burning out my arms and not understanding why. And that's why these come in. They're not just point scorers in our BJJF competitions. The idea of my hooks is to keep him flush with me, so I can actually set this choke up and actually keep his chest flat with mine. So if I don't have hooks in and he turns, then now it's super difficult. Okay? But if he goes to my arm and lets me in this space, I can now use my hooks actively. I'm pulling this one back to stop him from turning this way. So try and turn. This hook, you can't see it, it's invisible jiu-jitsu, but it's actually pulling back on his hip, and this one's slightly pushing forwards. So try and turn. Can't do it anymore. Okay? And that's because he let me in that space between his armpits and his knees. If he didn't let me in that space, the second I go for this choke, he turns, gets his shoulder close to my sternum. Nothing. Dead. No amount of squeezing will save that. That's what I mean by no-handed choke defense. You shouldn't need to use your hands for pretty much any choke. And we're doing gi for a reason. It'll make sense a bit further into the session. All I want you to do is take your hooks out, wrap around the neck again, and the person who is being choked, turn towards the hand that's choking you, okay? So if this one's gone round, I want to turn about 45 degrees, 90 degrees to his right. Turn. Set your choke up. It's probably going to hurt a little bit, but there's no choke there. You won't feel the same level of pressure. You're going to feel a pain maybe into the muscle of your neck here, but there's nothing happening. That's why when we do like a back defense, we try and get our shoulders to the floor. So we come backwards, we've got our shoulders to the floor here. It's because if I go for the choke now, nothing's going to happen. It's the exact same idea, but just sitting upright. So we do this already. This isn't new information. This is part of our jiu-jitsu technical base. It's just explaining why we do it. So go back, same thing, rear naked choke, turn, don't put your hooks in, turn a little bit, 45 degrees, and see how that choke has now disappeared. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Here we go. I know that the second an arm comes around my neck, he's giving away the plan. Okay? So go planning. So the second that Morgan shows his arm, I know which way I need to turn. I don't wait for him to go around my neck, obviously. He can, but now it's pointless. He gave away that game instantly. The second I sat here, if anyone's rolled with me since I arrived, you've probably seen me do this. The second I see that hand come round, I know which way to turn. And now there's no choke. I can sit here all day long. He has to now fight to get me back. If I let him into this space, if I panic, then yeah, he can start to right and keep me flat. It's actually how I changed my interpretation of body triangles. It's not necessarily a squeeze, it's a way of me kicking into your hips to keep you straight. So, change sides. So you start to look at hooks like in a more dynamic way. Instead of just two things sitting here, try and look at them in ways that, how can I stop him from turning? That's fine. Like you say, don't cross your ankles. That's not necessarily crossing my ankles. But now I know he can't turn to his left. Turn to your left. No, his leg's in the way. So now, if he wants to try and turn to his right, now he can't, because I have his shoulder. So now I know that he isn't going to go anywhere. When it comes to body triangles, I use my heel to kick into his hip. So I'm not necessarily squeezing, but if he tries to turn to his right now, there's nothing there. So again, just change how I looked at hooks. It's a way of keeping them flush with me so I can then hunt for that perfect choke instead of letting them turn. Again, Priit said in his class, everyone thinks they've got good attacks, and someone's got good defense. If you don't understand why you're attacking, you can do all the best chokes in the world and have the greatest steps, but you don't mean anything. So why are we wearing the gi? I think maybe 1 out of 10 chokes that you think are gi chokes are actually gi chokes. There's very, very few collar chokes, actual collar chokes. And I think calling them collar chokes just messes up beginners in that they think you have to try and pull the collar around the neck, and that's how you choke people. So you can do a no collar X choke. So mount please. If I understand the idea of accuracy, the idea of doing this is to put pressure into his arteries here, try and feel his pulse. So I don't need the collar. It's wrist. All I'm ever doing is grabbing an anchor point. Okay? So if you are grabbing all the way around here and trying to pull the collar around, you're kind of missing the point. All I want to do is put something solid into that part of his neck, that small bit of real estate by his windpipe and by his side here, just where I'd feel his pulse. I want to put something solid there. So I don't care if I'm putting my hand into the floor or not. All it is trying to find a way of getting my wrist into that space. I get my choke. Instead of trying to pull collars around, it doesn't make much sense. So going back to the rear naked. Why I talked to Merigi. The difference between a rear naked and a collar choke. Here's a collar choke. Here's a one-handed rear naked. Here's a gable grip rear naked. Here's a regular rear naked. This hand didn't do anything. It hasn't changed. Same. It's all I'm ever doing is grabbing an anchor point. Be it the collar, shoulder, my head. Someone who might happen to me over here, just grab them. My hand, it doesn't matter. The same idea applies. Is what can I hold on to? Try and find a bite between this one and this one. I don't care how I do it. Okay? Which means then the idea of escaping is the same. If the chokes are the exact same. Is that even if I grab hold of his collar, if he just turns towards the arm that's choking him, everything disappears. Because he destroys my accuracy. So that's why I told you where a gi is, that gi chokes don't exist. All you have to do is grab over a different anchor point. So all you got to do now is modify all these little ideas, okay? So without hooks in, because you're not having to use your arms. Grab hold of the shoulder, collar, bicep, hand, I don't really care. But the same idea will apply. If you just turn towards the arm, it's wrapped around your neck, everything disappears. Make sense? And then your goal as the attacker, after this, after today, is trying to find ways of pulling them back and keeping them straight. I actually changed how we look at rear naked chokes in the sense that when I go for it now, this is actually pulling through here. Because now if he tries to turn to his right, he can't. Because I'm actually dragging my elbow through his collarbone. This hand is only an anchor point. It's not actually playing sort of squeezing purposes. Make sense? So what you're going to do, change up the grips, collar, shoulder, hand, bicep. Answer's going to be the same for this person. Don't react, relax, and just turn to your right, okay? Make sense?
Do you move your butt when you turn to the arm, or is it just the shoulder?
Shoulder. I want to try and get my shoulder just...
Your butt sits still?
You can turn your butt, yeah, it'll help, but just try and turn as much as you can. Off you go. Does that make sense? So this applies to pretty much all kind of gi chokes that require someone being behind your back and pulling your collar. If you can just follow the hand that's choking you, you'll get out. Same with bow and arrows, same with everything. You don't have to do this whole popping over the head and all that kind of stuff. Just look at the hand that's choking you. The reason I'm taking my gi off is so you can see more details on my arms, so it's not hidden by the fabric. The purpose of this idea of no-handed choke defense is actually also side effect, improve your chokes anyway. Is that be able to not just look at the choke as it is seen in books or YouTube or from your coach, but then be able to amend the choke mid-roll and try and figure out why it maybe isn't working, why you're not getting that tap. Even though you're squeezing, what is currently causing the issue that I'm not getting this choke? So the next one I'm going to look at then is a Von Flue. And what separates a Von Flue just from a regular crossface? That's why I took the gi up, because it's easy to see. So here is, put your hand down. Here's a crossface. Here's a Von Flue. Okay, I haven't done that purposely, properly, should I say. Do you have an idea why they're different?
Poses his shoulder on the opposite side.
Kind of. Again, this is a side note. I'm only sticking to singular chokes right now, so nothing to do with his harm. But the reason why the choke's a bit different is that the idea of him being around my neck means I can lift him towards me. And again, change the angle of the choke. So if he holds onto a guillotine, I can move him this way. Because now it's just a rear naked again. My elbow is sitting in front of his windpipe. I find the accuracy that I want. I get my Von Flue. So again, it wasn't a squeeze. All I did was I just made sure my accuracy was perfect again. So that's why this choke works really well from guillotines, is that he's allowed himself to be lifted and actually have his windpipe situated in front of my elbow. Because otherwise, as a regular crossface, I'm nowhere near the pass I want. So if he just turns away ever so slightly, I'm nowhere near any sort of choke on him right now. Okay? If he looks towards it, he's actually making his life worse. But right now, there's no choke. It's just that's why it's a crossface. But if he holds onto my neck, I can then use that to situate my elbow in front of his windpipe. And then try and put that and that into his arteries. So it shouldn't take that any effort. It's actually how I also look at north-south chokes, is that I want to be able to turn him away from me to begin with. So again, his elbow, his windpipe sitting in front of my elbow. I position him back. And then it's just a Von Flue from the other arm. Now, here's a Von Flue. Here's a north-south choke. Pretty much the exact same thing, I'm just using different arms to do it from different angles. So if I'm setting up any sort of north-south choke, I find the point where his windpipe's in front of my elbow. I then position my shoulder down and walk around into basically a Von Flue again. So squeezing, just good accuracy. So what you're going to do is now go feel the difference in a Von Flue. And again, why you can then mess up someone's Von Flue choke. You go hold on to like a really shoddy guillotine here. Try and position your elbow in front of their windpipe by turning onto their side. Elbow probably stays on the floor, it'll probably help. And then just try and feel where their arteries would be. Try and feel their pulse. Make sense? Off you go. So far, as they shouldn't be really using any strength to accomplish any of these. Like, they should be, as long as your accuracy is good, like all you're pretty much doing is closing a straw, okay? If you're requiring all your muscle to try and crush what is essentially two straws, you're probably doing something wrong. So the other one then is looking at the arm triangles and roughly how the idea of why they work. Human beings are kind of very poorly assembled in that if I do this, it is impossible for me to choke myself. Okay? If I do this, unless I have giant shoulders, I'm not, I'm a very weak man, I can't put anything into my artery here. The idea is that I lift my entire shoulder structure up into my artery here. I can try and feel my own pulse with my collar. So if I then do this, in theory I should just knock myself unconscious. I won't, that's a very terrible class. But yeah, we're very poorly designed in that way. So when it comes to the arm triangle then, or any sort of arm in choke, they pretty much follow the exact same structure. Is that I want to try and feel his pulse again on this side, and it's probably going to be the top of my bicep / shoulder that's going to be doing it. And I want to try and lift his entire shoulder structure up into his neck. So I don't want to put his arm across his neck, I don't want his arm to be next to his ear. I want to try and grab pretty much from below his lat and lift that diagonally up into his artery here. So in theory, you should be able to do this one-handed. I'm going to go around. Again, take your time doing this. Get nice and deep, keep your elbow on the floor. Try and find where his pulse would be with your shoulder. Just a proof of concept, I'm going to grab his lat here. I'm just going to push that to his neck. So there wasn't any of this big squeezing and all that kind of nonsense. All I was doing is trying to find a way of lifting his shoulder structure and putting it into the side of his neck here. So not pushing his arm across his face or put it above his head. That's why I try and lift everything into that angle. Okay? So you should be able to do this one-handed. Arm nice and deep, arm up or down, we don't really care. Gable grip, whatever. Again, it's just ankle points. I'm going to try and find his lat maybe with my chest this time. Try and push the shoulder up to his neck. Okay? Try and feel your choke, okay? Take your time, use your proprioception, you understand where you are in space, and try and fix the choke as you go. Try and think, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to put this in his neck, it should be any squeezing again, as we proved from that first choke. And how can I then take his entire shoulder structure and put that into the top of his neck? The lower you start, the better. If I start here and just push it across, nothing happens. But if I can start from where his lat starts here and lift that entire thing into his neck, it should work. Yep.
What are you doing with your hips?
My hips, I'm connecting my chest to his lat here, so my rib cage is connected to his lat. Get that nice and deep. Now use my legs. Try and drive that up into his neck. Again, you should be able to do it with your hand if you want to. Okay, off you go. So then this changed my interpretation of triangles. Again, it's accuracy based. In theory, you shouldn't need to close up your triangle if your accuracy is good. So it's pretty much the exact same as a regular arm triangle. These two limbs are very sync, okay? Arms and legs. So again, I want to have something pushing into his artery here. I want to collect his shoulder and move that up into his neck. That's all it should be for a good triangle. This whole idea of wide. No. I actually want his arm wider. It actually makes his shoulder big. So if his arm's not here, it's brilliant. If he's looking this way, ever so slightly, now this is what the idea of being able to destroy chokes, but also fix your chokes if they're not working. Is that you now look at this. You think, that looks like a triangle, why isn't that working? Look at that. There's nothing there. Now it's in. And then all I did is I used this knee to pull his shoulder up into his neck. So I got my triangle, I fixed it, I then use this knee, pull his shoulder up into his neck. So in theory you shouldn't have to close your triangle. So I push up, find the part, I try to feel his pulse with my hamstring, try and connect his shoulder. There we go. It should work. Slight little change of the triangle, just by moving. Like you don't have to do this whole stuff nonsense here. No, that's just squeezing and too much effort. I'm too lazy. Okay, so go for your triangle. And then just think, where's the pressure coming from? Where am I attacking? So I want here and here. Try and find the right place. Twist the head into it if you want. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Shouldn't take any effort. Make sense? Try it. Same, exact same choke. Is this making sense so far? Like your choke should feel a bit weird. I've already heard it just a second ago. Is that this is completely different to any other triangle I've ever seen? It's not. It's just that I'm actively problem solving my own chokes. All I'm doing is putting pressure here. So all the choke is finding a way of putting something of yours on both sides, or something of yours on one side and something of theirs on the other side. That's why triangles work. You're a monster. It's why no-handed or no like triangle back arms. So if I get this, you think that's not really a triangle, but I can now problem solve this. There you go. Is I just try to think, how am I going to fix this? I need to put something on that and put something on the other side. Okay, what is? I could scrunch up my gi if I wanted to and put that into the space. Just pad it. Sorry. So then how do you defend on triangle-based chokes and stuff like that? Again, this also should fix your darts. Bravos and darts. Again, darts and bravo chokes, gi and no gi, exactly the same thing. Trapeze neckties, the way you call it. So, got the collar, try and find the point where I can bite into his carotid artery with my wrist, so I'm pulling it a little bit round. I'm going to try and lift his shoulder, across here. There we go. So everything that changes now between a Bravo and a Dars, the anchor point, here, here, this hand didn't change again. There was no squeezing involved. All I did is find a different anchor point to hold on to. Gear, no gear is the exact same. All I did is find something to hold on to, adjust my wrist up into his artery, then how do I move this into his neck, the exact same as any other arm triangle. Okay? So it's the exact same choke. So if you're here squeezing and thinking, why isn't this working? Just adjust it. Try and think where pressure's going into. Is it going towards his artery? Are you lifting this into the other side? If you aren't, well, that can tell you where your chokes are going wrong. So how do we mess them up? Like I said earlier, human beings are quite poorly designed in that we can just do this and shrivel ourselves unconscious. But if we put our arms here, we can't give ourselves a bit of breathing space. Or just our ability to turn. Okay? Just take that pressure off here. It's quite a small amount of real estate they want. It's only this. So say Morgan goes for an arm triangle on me. So the difference between this, choke me, and this is massive. Looks the exact same, he's going to get super frustrated and go, wow, you don't get choked. But no, you just don't know what you're doing. So I put my arm here, there's nothing now to bite into my artery. Now there's look, and now there's nothing biting into this artery. That was it. Choke gone, because he had no accuracy. So you go back to the arm triangle, get choked, and then go for it again. So just look into your arm triangle. Try and take the accuracy off. So if he wants this artery here, I'm going to hide it from him. If he wants my shoulder, well, it's too close to my ear for him to now find it. So go for it. Make sense? So all you're going to do is just try and find a way of messing with the accuracy a little bit, okay? So just move inwards to the choke. Take it off your artery, take this from here to here so that it no longer hurts you. And come back and tell me what you feel. Off you go. Does that make sense? Should have felt weird, like chokes disappeared. Okay, well, I said pretty much every choke fits this formula in some way. So I want you to now throw chokes at me, and I'm going to break them. So tell me about a choke. Which one do you want to know how to destroy? Glasses, guillotines.
Guillotines.
Guillotine. You got a good guillotine? Okay. So guillotine with one, prove it works. Yep. He's got a good guillotine, I know he has. Same idea again, he wants to be able to get around my arteries. So I'm going to take his accuracy off. So the second he goes around my neck, I'm going to put my shoulder into his sternum. Because now, he's got no way of finding this other side. And then it allows me just a little bit, then take the pressure, put that closer to his ribs.
Just lift the shoulder.
Yeah. It's why you can that's why the Von Flue again works here as well. He now can't find. Even if he gets his hands together, he still can't go around my neck. You need to be able to go around. That's why like Marcellity and everything exists. So continues. This is like again. I wasn't getting any guillotines anymore in my gym because they just kept slamming their shoulders into my sternum. So that's why I started to do this. Because now, try to get your shoulder towards my sternum. You can't. It allows me to bite around his neck a bit better. Next. That's going to destroy. Luke choke. You train me.
I'm not good at chokes. I get choked a lot. That's why I was wanting to know.
You know Nelson now.
So, this one?
Yeah.
Turn towards my hand. Choking hand. And go and spin. And got control of his hips.
Yeah.
So the second he sees it coming, he just has to spin. It's the exact same. Like if he goes for like a bow and arrow, again, Priit's party trick, is that if he grabs hold of this and grabs hold of my knee, whatever, I just have to go and follow the choke. Then changes again how you look at the choke, is that I then start to amend it a little bit, and that I kick down at people's hips.
Can I see it again?
Sure. So if he just follows my hand, that's out. So then what I start to do is this leg here, I now bite into his hip. Try and turn. Even if I haven't got that, my hook's now active. I'm actually dragging down my knee into this hip here, because I don't want Joe to turn. Otherwise, if you just, it's like starting a lawnmower. If I just pull, it just spins. There it goes. It's the exact same any other choke like that. If someone grabs hold of your gi, don't resist it. Don't turn into the choke. Well, you can eventually. That's pretty, his back defense stats is brilliant. But just follow it. Again, they give up the ghost. It's really easy. If they go for your collar from behind, in any way, shape or form, go for it. He's given up exactly what he wants. So it's like why paper cutters. You have this grip for a paper cutter. The idea is, again, I find this artery here. Maybe I'm using this collar now to do it. I use this one on this side. But I have to keep him lifted, because if he just follows again the choking hand, nothing works. Again, the idea of a no-handed choke defense is if he uses his hands, it allows me into that space to be able to turn, to stop him from turning. If I never get into that space in the first place, he just turns to choke. So now it has to make your chokes better. You have to be able to get better control of their hips underneath their armpits, and then latch onto that choke to be able to finish them. Otherwise, if you just go, I see a collar. Oh, the chokes don't work anymore. Now you have to be smarter. You have to find different ways. Again, it also like, Jiu-Jitsu is chaos. Like, random things happen. Like, I might not be able to get this grip, but I might be able to keep that there and go for it. That's why I'm finding a way of making sure you can't turn back. Right, one of my favourite chokes right now, that I seem to be getting more often than not, again, just using this idea, is after a half guard pass, I'll pull their shoulder up here, I'll put my hip into their artery, I'll get a choke there. That's just an arm triangle. All I have to use is the idea again of what can I put into his artery, my hip bone, and how can I drag this other one up into his neck using my shoulder. So you can now, if you follow this formula, you'll invent chokes that already exist in Jiu-Jitsu. They all have to follow this formula in some way. You're basically holding on to an anchor point in some capacity, and either using something of theirs or something of yours to crush just this part of the throat here. And if you're not, you can now amend it and just like move the head, move yourself, and be able to fix that choke. Make sense? Any other questions?
Can you try it with the reverse triangle?
What?
The reverse triangle? Can you try it with the reverse triangle?
Reverse triangle. Do it to me. Patient first.
Yep, so here, just go this here.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, go for it again.
Check out like.
So the idea works the same. Like, you just have to, he only wants this. It's not massive. Just turn. Obviously, I'm not in a great place there. I wouldn't suggest putting yourself in reverse triangles with your arm up in the air. You may have something broken instead. But it extends that your ability to escape now. You don't have to just get wrapped in a choke and think all hope is lost. You actually have a little bit of extra time. You can actually then mentally mess with people who were at this class. Yeah, thank you for your time. Have 5 minutes, and then it's Mario's class. Thank you. No picture, this class is small.